I think the video that I sent you was the first episode that cemented this premise.
Okay.
Like why, not why, but what conversation I want to have most with people.
Got it.
And it's this. It's like one of the things I mentioned in that video was like my nickname when I was a kid was goodness.
Right.
And so it just imprinted in me a belief that I'm good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And also imprinted a responsibility.
Got
to
it.
live up to that belief.
Interesting.
Right. So, you know, we hear the narrative a lot about self-belief and limiting self-beliefs and negative self-beliefs and how we live those out.
Right.
And how we're creating our lives with our thoughts and
Right.
all these things. But they're not really speaking about identity as much as like
Right.
self-worth maybe, or you know, how you feel about, you know, what you deserve and
Right.
that, but that's not who you are,
Right.
and what you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I was in 3rd grade, I was in gifted and talented.
Got it.
Once I'm in gifted and talented, I'm like, oh, I am
Gifted and
I'm
talented.
gifted and talented.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm smart and I'm above average.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. And I didn't perform at that level throughout my life.
Right.
For the most part of my school, I did not.
Got it.
But I already had the belief. So like at that point, after 3rd grade, it was like, oh,
I'm gifted and talented.
Gifted and talented. Like I don't.
Do you know that I'm a
in
gifted
your
and
class
talented?
and it's not
Right.
gifted and talented class, you're not a gifted and talented teacher. So like, I'm not really too pressed for like, you know what I mean?
Right. So you kind of own that, right?
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to that. I can relate to that. I'll go back to when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Right? I was really smart.
Yeah.
Right? I fresh from Guyana, fresh from Brooklyn. They kind of put me in Vailsburg Middle, and I'm like, who are all these people?
Right.
What are these dances? Like, I didn't understand any of that.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was smarter than the average kid,
Yep.
right? So my way in that stage of my life was selling candy, right, to make friends. It was getting the Martin Luther King essay contest, right? Like winning that from the person who's been winning it for the last 2 years. So I came in, newbie, won it. They're like, who is she, right? So it's almost like owning whatever that was in that period of time. And in that period, it was intelligence. It was intellect, right? I had a scholarship to, I forgot what school it was, in the 8th grade. I had a college scholarship. I just had to keep my GPA at I think 3.7, 3.75, something like that.
Yeah.
That lasted a good year, year and a half. Because when I got to high school, okay, and that's that. So that, yeah.
Well, what happened in high school?
So when I got to high school, you know, I started popping out a little bit, right? Got this job, making a few dollars, started going to the hairdresser. You know, I was in the 8th grader,
Right.
you know, like she was finding herself.
Yeah.
And then I got attention, right? Because before it was intellect. Now we're in a bigger school. We're at West Side. We are, I mean, West Side was quite interesting in 1994, okay? But I started finding myself and I started going where I got attention, right? 9th grade, I was doing okay. By the 10th grade, I was outside, like cutting school. Truancy knew me. So that person from the 8th grade, right, that was trying to win the essay contest is now completely different.
Right.
Now I'm introduced to the streets of Newark, right? Now I know if my mother said don't go outside, it's only but so much she can do. Like catch me if you can.
Right.
That was my high school phase. Yeah. We were outside. I was in the Weequay section, Osborne and Shepherd, Osborne and Shear. I've always been curious, right? And now that I look back, I think that's what it was. Like, I think I knew that there was more, and I'm like, how am I going to discover what's more? Because it can't be going to school, you know, coming home. So we lived on 18th Avenue. No, that was when we lived over here. Hold on, we moved a few times. When I was in middle school, we lived on 18th Avenue, right? And you're gonna have to chop this up because this is just how the story is going. So in middle school, we lived on 18th Avenue, and I lived like above the store, right? And my mother we would go to school, and we would come home, and we couldn't leave the house. Like, so we're peeking out the window, we seeing everybody outside looking like they're having a good time, and we can't go out. So when I got to high school, and I discovered, oh, there's only but so much she can do, right? Got my first job the day I turned 15, downtown McDonald's, downtown Newark. Back in the day when they used to sell chicken, fried chicken. I don't know who remember this, but McDonald's downtown Newark used to sell fried chicken. But anyway, so I got that job, got a little money. Right? Started building it up. All right, how can I get $100 so I can do my hair? How can I get $100 so I can get new clothes? Because my mom was fresh from Guyana, so she didn't have any money. She was still trying to figure out this country. At that time, I didn't know that. At that time, I'm like, I don't know what she does. She work all the time. We can't go outside. Like, I'm trying to figure out what's out there. So when I got to high school and I started working and I started discovering outside, I had so much fun. I mean, I got into trouble. It was so bad that, so my last name was Adams, and back then, you know, there weren't emails. They used to call your parents. So if I was absent, they would call my parents. They knew me, right? They were like, Nakeicha, go to school. Nakeicha, go to school. And that's just what it was until about...
You talking about your parents, you said?
No, I'm talking about the school.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about truancy officers and the attendance counselors that used to call the house to say I wasn't in school. Until I discovered, oh, they only take attendance in homeroom. So let me just go to homeroom, pop out, and y'all catch me on the back. Right? That's it. I'm good. So that was around 11th grade or so. And now that I think back, I was curious. It didn't look like curiosity, right? It looked rebellious. It looked like she didn't want anything better for herself, right? But for me, I was looking at my current situation and I was like, has to be better than this. All right.
I realized, looking back at my childhood and school especially, that I had developed a superiority complex with this whole thing. This whole situation was beneath me.
Because you're gifted and talented.
Because I'm gifted and talented. And, you know, that aside, it's like as you matriculate through, you do get teachers who literally just read the textbook. Like, they don't know the information. And they teach it every day. You know, it's not like nowadays, like, teachers bounce around subject to subject. The history teacher taught history for 10 years. And she still got to read out of the textbook. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not impressed enough to apply myself. The problem is not that I'm not applying myself. That's what I would be told. You know, you're not applying yourself. And I'm like, I would cut school to go to Uppsala College and hang out in the library. So it's like, my issue wasn't education. My issue was the education system.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? And I didn't realize it at the time, but, you know, folks would be like, you know, I was in, they called it Glee Club at the time, with, you know, chorus choir, whatever. But it was like, I can sing. So you're not teaching me how to sing. Like, you might have taught me some things in the first 3 weeks. After that,
it's old.
Black. My parents from the South. I was taught how to sing. You know what I mean? So none of this stuff was like, I'm not gaining anything out of like network and I'm not gaining skills. I'm not gaining useful information.
Right.
I talked about this before, but it's like, it's so bugged out to me, and it's so integral to me in that, so I cut school for half a day freshman year, all year long. The whole year.
Okay.
Right? And I didn't academically apply myself even after that, but I didn't attend a class after lunch for the first year of high school. So I did high school for 5 years.
Okay.
In my 5th year of high school, because of the way the schedules
in my 5th year of high school.
Right. But like, my schedule worked out so in the way that I had to have 3 lunches because they couldn't fit me in a class that I needed to take in the morning with the other classes that I needed to take.
Got it.
So I had to fill 3 gaps and then I could take whatever the class was, right? Call it history, whatever. But I remember for one of my lunches, I would go to a class.
Right.
Because the teacher there was my home teacher at one point.
Okay.
He was never my teacher. He never taught. I never sat in his class. To this day, in my opinion, he's the best teacher I've ever had.
Got it.
And I was never in his class.
Got it.
I was never enrolled in his class.
A student, right? An official student.
Right.
Official, let me.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not turning in any assignments.
Right.
But I'm sitting and paying attention to every class and learning. And it was because he was actually teaching.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he did know things that I didn't know.
Right.
And he didn't teach out of a textbook at all. And he knew it personally. I could tell he didn't just know it because it's his job or his industry, whatever you would call it. He knew it personally.
He embodied it.
Interest in it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And so now when I look back at how I treated school, I was like, oh, I thought I was underperforming. I was just not complying to this environment that wasn't serving me for that use.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And after high school even, it's like now I see it more and more, in life in general. It's like once I'm at the ceiling of a thing, I gotta get out of there.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Because I'm not gonna be good for the thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in work, relationships, everywhere.
Right.
Like don't let me hit my head on the ceiling.
Right.
You know, because I might not even be standing up straight yet.
Right.
So if I hit my head, like I didn't jump. Trying to record a podcast. Fortunately, it's just redundant. But yeah, like I didn't jump up. I didn't stretch myself.
Right.
I might not have even stood up straight.
Right.
And I'm hitting my head. So like now I have a different perspective of myself and the environment that I'm in, and not just what a person is supposed to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I love that you said after a certain period, I realized, oh, this is it. Or this is it for me.
Yeah.
Right? What else is there?
Right.
Right? Some people never discover that. And I think that's one of the things that have continuously helped me to grow throughout the years.
Yeah.
Even when I was in situations that weren't the best for me, right? I got to a point where I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, like,
Yeah.
I'm up.
Yeah.
This isn't it. Okay, let me put a game plan in place for whatever the next thing is. With working, right? When I started working, I was just happy to have a job. I went from, so I'm gonna run through it really quickly. I went from, we kind of stopped at high school, got pregnant in high school, ended up having both my boys by 21, right? And something clicked one day. And I was like, what are you doing here? Right? Like, these children are depending on you.
Yeah.
And I put a game plan in place and I shifted.
Yeah.
Right? And then I was looking around and I said, okay, Now, my kids were born in 98 and 2000. I said, all right, if I want to get out of this situation, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
And I figured education, because I realized that the people, I don't want to say uneducated, but as I got exposed to more people,
Yeah.
I started to notice the people with college degrees or they were just in better situations. I was like, all right, that's our way out, right? So I started going to school. I went to school for a long time. It's like back and forth, up and downs, in, out, right? But just consistency. And my first official job with health insurance and 401k and all of that nice stuff, right? I got offered that job, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know they paid that much. Like, I was just on Section 8.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. So I took it.
Yeah.
And I had health insurance, and now I have these new friends, and now I have this new community, and I was like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah.
And in that job, I was watching the business owner kind of build the business, and I'm looking at the process, and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
All right, I see what he's doing. All right, and then I started looking at myself in this position, and I was like, all right, how far can I go here?
Yeah.
Another level, maybe. I need an exit plan, right? And sometimes my exit plans are not strategic.
Okay.
It's just like, all right, we're going. Okay, let's go. Jump.
The exit plan is to exit.
Sometimes that was definitely one where I exited and I was like, and I jumped into other projects.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you get to those periods where you're like, okay, do you know whose you are? Right? But when I was jumping, there wasn't a spiritual connection. It was just, something doesn't feel right here.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't enough. Like, I'm not, my son said, they're not gonna peer pressure me into living in poverty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was like, nah, I don't know if I wanna be here.
Right.
I don't know if I like it down here.
Listening to you and like knowing you for the time that I've known you personally, like I'm thinking about like, okay, you're selling candy in elementary or high and middle school.
Yeah.
Right? That makes you like one of one or the most one of few.
Yeah.
Right. And the many
Right.
are coming to you.
Right.
Right. And they're not just coming to you with money.
Right.
They come to you with their interests, their needs.
Didn't even look at it that way.
It,
Right.
Like you're getting a lot of information
Right.
from a lot of sources, you know what I mean? And the transaction that confirms it.
Right.
Right. And then in high school, you work at McDonald's. Not most kids in high school don't have a job.
Right.
So you're one of few.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're also getting this information that they're not getting.
Right.
And it's also connected to transaction. Like you
Right.
seeing how people live. In school, we get ideas about
Right.
how people live. We're told how the world is.
Right.
And then you work at McDonald's and you're like, oh, no. I can tell you what people actually do.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm calculating.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been a numbers person. So, like, if someone have an event, I look at the ticket price, I look around the room, I was like, oh, they're making a quick 25,000 a day, right? So I'm doing numbers in my head.
Yeah.
While I'm working, I'm like, okay, so KFC, for example, I didn't tell you this, but I'm gonna throw this in there. They would take the chicken at the end of the night and you can take it home.
Okay.
The drug dealers were still outside when I got off work.
Yeah.
So I would get like the buckets of chicken, take it back, and they're hungry.
Yeah.
So, all right, $2
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So now I'm just selling that chicken,
Yeah.
building relationships.
Yes. They know me. Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't even look at all of that. It was just, I think I've just always been looking for a way out.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought that the way out was money, monetary wealth. And the older I get and the more I evolve, I realize, oh, that's not what you've been looking for. Like, what you've been looking for is peace.
Yeah. The way out.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So this, it's crazy that we're having this conversation because I haven't really sat down and reflect on how far I've come. Yeah. Right? Yeah. This journey of self, this evolution of self.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like you've come far.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. Like it's yeah. Yeah. It's pretty dope. Yeah. Right?
Like, talking about KFC and the drug dealers, it's like you got to see firsthand that everybody's a customer somewhere.
Yeah.
The drug dealers aren't just getting money in.
Right.
They'll put money out.
They gotta eat too.
Not just for drugs, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
They're not just buying drugs, they buy cocaine too. You know what I mean? But knowing that, like, allows you to see people as like, not because we are so heavily indoctrinated in consumerism in this country, especially. You don't see other people as consumers.
Right.
And you don't see yourself as the producer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But when you're in that position, once you live it.
Right. Once you see enough of it, right? And I think one of the really dope things about my journey is I've jumped so much. Yeah. Right? Like, and I remember my first job. I was underage. I don't know. I might have been like 13. I was working at a laundromat on Lyons Avenue. And the woman, she was Guyanese because she had I knew she was Guyanese because I was Guyanese. Yeah. So they hired me because I knew how to count, right? And she was making like long distance phone calls and she got fired. Okay. And then I got fired because she brought me on. Oh, okay. Right? So when I saw that, I was like, well, damn, I ain't do nothing. But that's how much power that person had. Right? Yeah. And then we go to McDonald's, right? And like you said, there were those transactions. And even when I did my first tax return, I worked at Verizon for like 6 months. I was a 401 operator. That got me sound crazy, right? But I was exposed to so many people. I know.
Yo, your footnotes are insane.
Listen, call up. They wanted the they don't want the Chinese store phone number. Right. And then you have to go in there and pull it up and then tell them the Chinese store phone number. Yeah. And then they would call like those. You got me feeling ancient right now. Right? Right. So I did that. I did McDonald's. I worked at H&R Block because I did my first tax return. I was 19. Right here on Clinton Avenue in Irvington, right? Yeah. So I go in there, I see all these people sitting waiting to get their taxes done. That's when you used to wait hours to get your taxes done. And I go in there and I gave them my W-2 from McDonald's. By the way, my Verizon period, I was popping. I was making, I think, $10 an hour back then. That was 1998. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. We were Coogee down to the sock. Right. Okay? Right. Because I ain't know better. Right. But just exposure to all of those people, right? Yeah. And then I worked at H&R Block, and now I'm doing taxes. But I'm not only doing taxes, I'm reading people. I'm seeing this person's making $10,000, this person's making $60,000, this person's making $100,000. How? Right? Like, what are you doing? Right. And I'm starting to connect these numbers to occupations and that sorts of thing. And it's just expanding and expanding and expanding. So I think my exposure to so many different areas just kind of sped up. Like the collection. Yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. So, right? Yeah. If you think about think about this, think about the other end. Think about the person that's been at the same job for 30 years. That's all they know. Right. I'm willing to try anything. Right. Right? Yeah. Push come to shove, we'll be in Military Park Center selling some ginger lemonades. Yeah. Yep. Right? Yep. But that's that exposure, because like you said, everyone's a consumer. Yeah. And already, you don't even have to turn them. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. So
Yeah, man.
So you asked the question, like, who are you really?
Mm. Yeah, like who you believe you're supposed to be in this world.
I don't know. I'm still trying to discover that, right? And every time I think I got it, something else happened on a positive note,
Yeah.
right? That elevated.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know it's definitely serving people. I know it's definitely taking my experiences and my knowledge and pouring it into others to help elevate them. That's it. I have a love for business owners because they have a different drive.
Yeah.
They have desire.
Right.
Right? Like,
And they actualize it. They don't just want.
most.
Yeah.
Most.
Yeah. I mean,
Some.
the distinction.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're a business owner, like you said, you're already part of the 5%.
Yep.
Right? So that work that the 95% have to do, it's not going to be as hard with business owners.
Right.
And I connect business ownership to wealth. And the more I start to put this puzzle together, the more I'm discovering, oh, okay, I see what this is.
Yeah.
Let's, go ahead. What are you reading?
A book right now called The Master Key System, right?
Okay.
And, it's about like personal development, mindfulness, etc. And, wait, what? You said something that triggered something.
I was talking about discovering the puzzle, right? Like as you figure out different pieces, you're like, I said, oh, I see what this is, right? Like discovering the different pieces.
So, read this book, The Master Key System. This guy's name is Charles Hannell that wrote it. And he's one of the guys that Napoleon Hill interviewed to write Think and Grow Rich, right? But one of the things that the book talks about, and I'm still in the introduction. Like I'm studying the book, I'm not reading the book.
Right.
So I'm taking my time.
Okay.
And I'm digesting. I'm not eating more than I digest.
Got it.
But he talks about like natural laws. You know what I mean? And listening to you, it's like when you discover for yourself personally a natural law.
Right.
And you discover that it is a truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like once the environment or the space or your behavior aligns with that outcome is going to happen every time. Gravity is going gravity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or electricity is going electricity, or whatever the laws are. Reciprocity is going to reciprocate.
Right.
Reciprocity is not transaction though.
Right.
Reciprocity don't mean I give you, you give me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the valuations are different.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like we might think about it in these economic terms or context, but it's not exactly that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, once you discover that this thing is the case,
right,
it's the case.
That's it.
You know what
That's
I mean? You
it.
can depend on it. Like
that's it.
That I think it's part of what allows us to lean in confidently to that unknown thing.
Right.
Because we're like, no, there's a truth that I know.
Right.
That I don't like. I'm just seeing the how in this way.
Right.
But the thing is already there.
And if you look at it this way, right? Okay, I tried that. That didn't work.
Yeah.
Let me try something else and see what happens. Let me just jump in.
Yeah.
Right? And when you start to explore, you're like, oh, okay. Like today, right? I was still home. I could have made it at 11. You said you have a 12 o'clock. I was like, all right, let me speed up. Still took a detour. Right? And I was like, all right, God, whatever. I'll get there when I get there. That's it.
Yeah.
In the past, I would have been running, trying to get, let me try. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like you said, when you know there's a law,
Yeah.
But you know, if you ask, it shall be given. If you knock, the door will open. That's a powerful way to walk around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because all of this, when you really start to look at it, is what you make it. Right?
Yep.
There was a guy in the park. He was in the park all the time. I wouldn't say anything to this man. And when I walked by myself, there was like a little fear there. And something said, say good morning. And I started saying good morning.
Yeah.
And he started saying good morning back.
Yeah.
And if I walk past and for some reason I'm not, he'll say good morning.
Yeah.
Right? So all of that I created is...
Yep. Yep.
So...
Yeah, it's like the truth is humans are humans, and if you treat them as such, they respond as such. Like,
and if repeatedly,
yeah, right,
certain things happen, you're like, oh no, this is,
yeah,
oh no, this is law. This is it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's play.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Let's play.
And it's gonna come when it comes, and the doors that you aren't meant to go through are gonna close when that season's over. And you have to be perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're not here for the season.
Right.
You're not even here for the year. You're
right.
Here for the lifetime.
And I said this the other day. I said you can't thank God for the sun and curse him for the rain.
Right.
Because it's going to rain.
Absolutely.
You just have to be prepared, have your tools in place.
Yeah. And the sun and the rain is why we have life.
Right.
Like we don't have.
But you can't have one without the other. You
Yeah.
can't have joy without pain.
Right.
You don't know. You don't know what that feels like. Like you can't possibly know.
Yeah.
What that feels like if there wasn't something along the way, some type of pain.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and like, man, it's so interesting how we catalog these things over the course of our lives, and like the understanding that we had at one point, and then you realize like, oh no, I was seeing that all the way wrong.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that.
Right.
It wasn't a blue sneaker.
Right.
Yeah, it was a purple spatula.
Right.
The whole time.
Right.
And how that can open us up to be the student of life a little more. And be open-minded to the next thing. Like,
so that's very easy to say now in this, well, for me, right? Like, I don't know what your journey has been, right? Like, I'm just in my awakening stage.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Okay.
Or at least this one.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Right? But if 2018 Keisha would have been like, I'm trying to get this money because I got to pay these people. I got to pay this rent. I have work going. Like, that would have been that version of me.
Yeah.
So for people, I think they just are what they are in that space and in that season, right? And I'm learning to just, this is just what it is. It's just part of the, right? Yeah. And some people will evolve and some people won't. Or I guess we all evolve, right? In different, it just looks different. So
evolution is a specific thing. Like some people evolve as far as the environment around them is evolving, and that's not evolution.
Okay, that's fair.
That's constant adaptation.
That's fair. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like personally evolving, nah, we don't all.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Evolve.
You're right.
In this particular time and space of my evolution and like this blossoming that I'm experiencing,
right?
I'm so humbled by it. Like when I was younger, that's why I say like this, this version or this time. But like I would say that I've had this experience, but not with this point of view.
Okay.
About it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when I was young, I thought I'm supposed to get linearly better in life.
Right. Right.
For the rest of my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I stumble. And then
right.
I get tripped up. And then,
right.
You know what I mean? And then I got to sit my ass down
right.
For a while. And, you know, fortunately, I regained confidence,
mm-hmm.
you know, time and time again.
Right.
You know what I mean? In the different experiences and all the different things that happen. But now I realize, like, oh, that's it.
That's it.
Even a good life
right.
isn't linear.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like up. It's like I say it's like the
yes.
bucket. It's like up, down, low. Up, down, low.
Right.
The downs are higher than your previous ups.
Right.
So
it's.
Yeah, and like.
Right.
Just appreciate this is what it is right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you have to give yourself, and this takes time, mm-hmm. right? And I know I'm growing because like I'm dealing with some personal family mm-hmm. stuff, and I got a call the other day, mm-hmm. and I thought that was the call, mm-hmm. right? And I was like, all right, it's time, right? And I'm crying, mm-hmm. but I'm still moving. Mm-hmm. I'm still doing work. Mm-hmm. I'm still lining things up, mm-hmm. right? Even like on my way there, I'm crying, but I was like, all right, put some music on, mm-hmm. reset. Mm-hmm. Like you have to go to work. In the past, mm-hmm. it would have been, let me call this person, let me call that person, let me call this person, right? And just kind of pass that mm-hmm. along. Mm-hmm. You know how we do, right?
Yeah.
Did you hear?
Yeah.
Right?
Release valve. Let me get some of this out of me. Give it to y'all.
But I'm able to process. And that was a moment where I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Being able to feel it,
yeah.
being able to acknowledge it, mm-hmm. and still do the things that you know need to be done.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
That's one of the moments where I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, this is it.
Yeah.
But all you can do is keep planting seeds, mm-hmm. and whoever pick it up. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, some people are gonna vibe with this conversation. Some people are gonna be like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
Right? And that's just what it is.
Let me ask you, who would you say have been your mentors throughout your life?
I'm gonna go back a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Mm-hmm. I went back to the weirdest thing. I was thinking middle school, who was my mentors. Mm-hmm. Couldn't think of anyone. Mm-hmm. Like I had an uncle that I looked up to, mm-hmm. but he got killed in New York, mm-hmm. Doing what he was doing. Mm-hmm. I have another uncle who was he was like an attorney. He had his degrees and stuff on the wall, and I thought that was dope. I was like, this is good. Yeah. But then he got locked up for like drug charges. Yeah. I mean, right? Wow. Yeah. So that's family. Mm-hmm. I can't really think of anyone in my younger days, mm-hmm. which is quite interesting. I think my motivation was getting out, mm-hmm. right? Like when I was on welfare, it was like, I gotta get the hell out of here, mm-hmm. right? They'll have you sitting 8 hours, yeah. right? Yeah. To tell you come back tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Make sure you're here on time. Yeah. Word. So I was just trying to get out. I didn't even. Make sure you're here on time. Yeah. Now that I look, right? So I have a different angle now. I think one of our meetings, I was here, we did a video, and then I went and sat in the welfare office for hours, right? I told you about that. And it's just reading people. It's reading the people that are coming in. It's reading security. It's reading the workers. It's reading who's treating people and how, and just kind of tapping back in for a second to see let me see what's going on this side of town. But I didn't really connect with mentors until later on in life. In college, again, it was my kids, because I didn't do the traditional college. I was like a college student working full-time with 2 kids. So it was, my motivation was my children. Now, I can officially say I have mentors. And my first unofficial mentor happened by accident, and it's Don Viapre, right? I met Don at an event a few years ago, and he took my phone number, and he actually reached out. Usually people take your contact information, and you don't hear back from them. And then we met up, and we met at Dutch. And we had a really awesome, he was like, what are you doing? So I kind of told him some of the things I was doing. And I was like, yeah, but I'm really struggling. And he was like, it's okay. He was like, whatever you're going through is for what you're going to do in the future. I was like, all right, whatever. And he said, 10 minutes a day, reflect. He said, sit down, close your eyes, and reflect on your day. Just think it through. I was like, all right. Met up with him again. I was like, Don, I can't do it. Like, I'm thinking about, did I close out? Did I lock the door? Did I take the money out the register? How am I gonna pay for these contractors? Like, that's what I'm thinking about, right? I couldn't really slow down and reflect on the day. And he kept saying that. And then he would invite me to events. I was like, all right. And then he introduced me to Michael Miner. And Michael introduced me to Landmark, right? And they're introducing me to all of these things, and they're putting me in these rooms. And Don invited me to, we were working on a dispensary license. It was a group of men up in Edison somewhere, and Don invited me, and I got in that room, and I was like, whoa. What do y'all want me to do? I was like, all right, I'm just gonna sit and figure out what I can do. And after sitting with them for a few hours, I realized that they were I thought I was unorganized. They were just a chaotic mess. So I came back the next day and I organized everything for them. And I'm still friends with quite a few of them. But Don, in just a conversation, in just a few conversations, started to ignite something different, like something deeper, right? And then Michael Miner, so I consider him a mentor. And then I started tapping into, and I was doing this before, I was listening to Les Brown, Eric Thomas. I don't really listen to Eric anymore. Once in a while, if I need him to yell at me for something. But Les Brown, Jim Rohn, and I'm listening to all of these people, but it wasn't connecting. Right? Like I was hearing them, and I would do a little bit, fall off. What do they want me to do now? Meditate? All right, let me try that. So, yeah, mentorship started on YouTube. That's where I didn't even know that you could just call up and get a free mentor. Like, that's one of the things I push now heavy, right? There's so many business consultants and mentors that are free. Free. I didn't know what I didn't know.
I remember somebody saying, I can't remember who it was, but it talked about how reading autobiographies is their thing. He's like, because you get to, throughout world history, select your friends group. It's like, I want to be friends with so-and-so. So just read autobiography. It's just like, you get to walk along with them.
Right.
I mean, the same way you walk along with your friends in school.
Listen, I've been trying to build a relationship with Warren Buffett, but I'm not. No, I'm sorry, Charlie Munger.
Yeah.
Because I have his book, and I have to go back to it.
Yeah.
But like you said, reading about Warren Buffett, I learned about his dad, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, and then I started to put it together, and I said, oh.
Yeah.
He was created 4 generations ago.
Yeah.
This was a vision
Yeah.
for his grandfather. This was his grandfather's vision.
Yeah.
His grandfather planted the seed in his son, and then his son just passed it along, right? So now when I look at us, I have to give us grace,
Yeah.
right? Like I have to give my mother grace.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I go back. I said, she left and came to this country. No guidance.
Yeah.
If you come to this country and the person you're coming to live with, or the person that you're going to be around working McDonald's, that's where you're going to be.
And it shows how, you know, I don't mean this judgmentally. I mean it. I would like to think I mean it objectively. It shows how commonplace mediocrity is, especially from people with a head start or with privilege, or with generations, without restraint.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't have to have generational wealth. Having generational freedom.
Right.
Everybody don't got that.
Right.
So like what you can do is incredible. Because what you have done without generation after generation after generation of planning and investing and setting up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Looks and is already benefiting your family. You know what I mean? In a way that like people with generational freedom and resource and access struggling to figure it out. To just you know what I mean? But you know, over the course of life, our identities evolve and we add on identities like wife, husband, mother, father, ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the identity of a mother that you are in 2008 and the identity of a mother in 2024 are not the same identity.
Not at all.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And what I want to hear like what that has looked like.
Whew.
And not just motherhood, but like what it like those.
Motherhood is easy.
Okay.
Right.
Let's go.
I'll throw wife in there.
Okay.
Right. But motherhood, early motherhood, was I don't know what I'm doing. Right.
Yeah.
There was some shame there too.
Okay.
I used to call my son. I'd be like, if they ask you who I am, tell them I'm your sister, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be judged. And then there was a phase of motherhood where I was like, all right, it's you. Yeah. You got to make it happen for these boys. Like, you have to figure out how. Yep. And it was like a superwoman, right, that kind of stepped in. And that phase was probably from 2001 until about 2009, where I was just digging, like we're gonna get out of this, right? But they never experienced that, right? What they saw was I always provide, right? And then I took it up a notch by learning how to drive, right? Right? All right, now I'm gonna take y'all out the hood. How far can we go? Right? Get in the car. We went to Virginia. We went to the beaches. Like, I've always tried to give them the best that I could give them with what I had, right? And then as they got older, it was this battle, right? Because now I'm raising men, right?
Yeah.
But my husband's here, but I still felt like, no, I'm their mother because I will always be there, right?
Yeah.
So there was a phase where I had to kind of drop that, like take the cape off, rest it down, and kind of create a partnership with my husband. So, yeah.
Yeah, because you were the captain.
Right. This is my ship.
Yeah.
Coming up in here. What? You want to do what?
Yeah. Word.
Right.
And then so tell me about what, like, when you know, younger motherhood, there's provision, right?
Right.
And then it evolves into provision and access.
Right.
And from what I see most recently, a lot of it is very sophisticated support. It becomes these intangibles of support and insight and example.
Yes.
Like, watch me do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the season I'm in now.
Yeah.
Right? Because I already told my kids that they can do anything. My kids have seen the evolution of me. Right? So they know where we were. They know where we are now. And more so much my oldest son than the other two. The other two haven't been exposed as much to, you know, how I grew up.
Yeah.
But now it's, oh, I'm about to show you.
Yeah.
Like now the real work begins.
Right.
Because I trust that I did a good job with them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That goal has been accomplished.
Right.
And I had that conversation with my son the other day. I showed him a picture. I think he was like 3. Because my husband asked me, he's like, what was that version of Keisha thinking? And I said, I will provide the best possible life that I can for my children. And I feel like I've accomplished that. And from here on out, it's up to them to create the best possible life that they can for themselves. But this version of me, I'm going to show you what's possible.
Yeah.
Right? Now, they're going through their own, right? And when they come to me, and this is evolution, right? In the past, if my son came to me and was like, hey, Ma, I need $200 for whatever, I'll cash app it, Zelle it, sneak it to him, right? Depending on the conversation with Corey. Like Corey will just, that's what he do. That's his thing. They have their relationships. But they come to me when, you know, they kind of hit a space because they know they don't have to explain much.
Right.
Like, I got them, right? But I've shifted from that. And now I say to them, I can't save you because whatever lesson you're supposed to learn from this, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out.
I forget who was saying this. I just heard it recently, but they give the analogy of parenthood as you're the coach.
Yeah.
You can't play for them.
I can't.
You can't. You're not allowed on the court.
Nope, not anymore.
You know what I mean?
Right?
All you can do
As
is,
bad as you want to.
Right. You can remind them. You can cheer.
Right.
But you can't play.
Right. And what I do is I use reality as an example. I'll use people.
Yeah.
I'll be like, look at such and such.
Yes.
You see what they doing? They were
Yeah.
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But like, no offense. Like, if you love it and that's considered success for you, then more power to you. But if you don't like it, if you're miserable, if you're complaining about it, if it's woe it's you, if it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and whatever you're doing, you're not. None of us get to go unobserved.
Right.
So we're all an example of something.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, like
you decide
Yeah.
which way you want to go.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, like you said, we're the coach.
Yeah.
And what I love about this season of my relationship with my two oldest children, my youngest one, he's 16. So, you know, if we get a hello or he tell us how the game was, then that's a good day. Right? But that's just the phase that he's in.
Yeah.
Right? But my two oldest boys, they I allowed them to go through it. And then they come back and they said, well, you know, this is what happened. This is how I fixed it or how I didn't fix it. And then I'll ask them the question, how did you feel?
Yeah.
What was that like? Right? Did you have anxiety? Right?
Yeah.
How did other people look to you? Because when you're not in a good space, then other people may be annoying or, you know, right? Because you haven't been honest with those individuals. Right?
Yo, it's so bugged out how, I mean, it's bugged out because it's a new experience.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just riddled with confirmation of these concepts and ideas.
Yeah.
And like for you in that moment, it's like you told yourself who to be in that moment, and then in that moment, you just have to obey yourself.
That's it.
And I heard somebody say recently, that's what discipline is. Like, there's a lot of different definitions that people have of discipline.
Yeah.
This person's definition of discipline was the ability to give yourself a command and follow it.
That's it.
Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's a thing, if you do it constantly, if you do it at all.
Yeah.
Can you flip a switch and go?
Right.
Because you said so.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you trust yourself as the commander-in-chief as well as the soldier.
Right.
Like the trust is dual. The general has to trust the soldier.
Right.
The soldiers have to trust the general.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, can you be that for you? Because that person is disciplined.
That person takes work.
They're trying to just be disciplined.
Yes, that person take work.
Yeah.
And I was in the military, by the way, for a little bit. I'm like 17. Got in a fight, Fort Jackson, North Carolina. Okay. First time I was around, they took me from West Side. Look, I just jumped, but work it out. West Side High School, right? I was getting in trouble. Like by 11th grade, I was in the thick of things. My mom was like, something got to give, right? Join the Army, because that's what they thought was the resolution. But it did help because it put me in an environment. This was the first time I was around white people.
Yeah.
Mind you, South Orange right here. Right. I'm at West Side High School. But we know that past Dover, there's something a little 50-50 about after Dover. I'm going to stay right here at the border. And I got exposed to white people, right? And some of them were dope. And some weren't so dope, right? Now, I understand that's all environment, how people were raised, right? Back then, I didn't know that. Right. So now I'm fighting in the Army.
Yes,
just
this needs to be corrected. This needs to be righted. Y'all ain't gonna do this for me.
But there's also moments like that where I'm like, all right, if you can get up and run 6 miles, you can do it. Right? It's things like that that come back to me and say, if you could do this, if you could overcome this, then this is nothing. Then let's work. My kids, that's all y'all got?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I learned in the experiences that I have in that regard is like all I ever really need to do is get to the space of genuine trying. Like genuine effort. Like I don't have to get to the 6th mile. I have to really mean it in putting on my sneakers.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Because like, I'm not going to want to take them off.
That's it.
I'm going to tie them tight.
Right.
So it's going to be an inconvenience to take them off. Let me go ahead and go ahead, go down this elevator. You know what I mean? Like if I get to that space of like that, just try genuinely.
Right. That's it. That's it.
The rest of it, I end up mile 6.
That's it.
And if I don't end up mile 6, it's not because of something that I had control over. I mean, like I handled my control.
Right.
this other stuff is the other stuff. Like you say, like with your son, sometimes it come back and the story's like, is not fixed yet, or it is fixed, or the thing changed, or whatever it is. But it's like, did you go meet it?
Right.
Or did you
try?
Else to go meet
right.
it?
Did you try?
Yeah.
Right. So, because if you're coming to me, like, what have you tried?
Right.
All right, what else?
Yeah.
All right, well, here's 5 more things you can try. And go talk to your dad and see if he got some suggestions too. Matter of fact, hold on.
Right.
Kids, come downstairs. This is the situation he's dealing with. If it was you, what would you do?
Right.
The whole family's talking about what they would do. So now you have 20 more ways to try to solve your issue.
That, I'm a big fan of that right there. And you, by extension, and your family.
What I love about them is they all have that drive. Mm-hmm. Like if we say it's go time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. But like, you know, my family, I don't think my family ever had a family meeting with the whole family.
So you mean, so hold on, let's be very clear. When I say my family, you know I'm talking about my immediate husband and children.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm saying like, I'm talking about me growing up.
Right.
Me growing up in that household.
Right.
That never happened.
Yeah, that never happened.
And because of, in my adult life, my interest in business, and my belief in the power of family business.
Right.
I was introduced to the idea of families treating the family like the company because they are the company. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, even in the idea of family meetings that I heard of or saw on television or whatever, it was always because there was a crisis.
Right.
Like, it was like, we need to have a family meeting because
such and such is sick
off the cliff.
Such and such is right.
But to call a family meeting for an issue
that
isn't a crisis,
an
issue, and to call it in the spirit of we are all going to talk about we're not talking about this person.
Right.
We're talking about this issue.
Right.
So put this issue in everybody's lap, and how would you carry it? You know what I mean? And that. Yeah, that's so fantastic.
And when you get it from, when you call the sick...
That's the name of this podcast now.
Is it?
It's gotta be. Who do you think you are? Yeah.
Well, it's you, right? Because you know what questions, like you can have a conversation. Like I don't know how many people I can have this conversation with. I don't know how many people can ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how many people can get this side of me. They may be like, hey girl.
Gotcha. Same here. I got you.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I'll see you at the next event.
Right. Let me ask you this, man. Because you talked about you talked about being a young mom and the feeling of shame.
Right.
In the early days, right? And now, you're a mom who has boys that are at ages where they have to make their own choices and decisions and take their own actions and create their own things.
Right.
And you're young and energetic enough that you can actually, you can coach them for today's game.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like some parents could only coach for their time.
Right. Because they're still there.
Yeah.
Right.
But like you have the elasticity and energy and youth today.
Right.
With where they are today.
Right.
That you can do this way. Like with energy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like with positive and optimistic energy. Like that's, how do you feel about that?
I think that's so dope. I never looked at it that way. Right. But I think that is the difference between them taking 20 years to figure this thing out, right?
Yeah.
Maybe taking 5. And when I say figure it out, because it's continuous, right? But it just puts them ahead.
But yeah, you can figure out.
Like I'm not telling my kids, like my son, he was at Montclair State, and now he's like, I don't want to work. All right, figure out how you're gonna get money. Figure out how you're gonna pay these bills. You have your own apartment. Unless you want to come home, the door's open. The couch is here, brother. Right? Well, who wants to deal with this all day, right? Because if we're up at 5, right?
The house is up.
My oldest son told me the other day, he was like, thank you for all of those mornings where you guys would put the blender on. 5 a.m., we're up. Zzz, zzz, making it real uncomfortable. Okay? We're jump rope.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to be up. You are going to hear us. Like, you're going to hear movement. Right? So it's dope. It's different. It's different. Because I have time. Right? Like, Corey and I, like, we're both home now. So we have time. Like, I used to beat myself up because I worked so hard. Right? When I was raising them. And I remember when I had Mocha, I was there all the time. Right? And my son said to me, like, I wish you had kept your regular job. At least we knew you were home at 6. Like, my God, I'm just trying. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm just trying to get a win. That's where my mind was, right? So to be here now where I'm winning. Like I'm winning on my time. Cause I don't have to go to work, drive in traffic, worry about what, right? I have my business. That's coming, it's coming along, right? That's a work in progress. But I also have the capacity to go to my son's football game, to when my other son needs to talk, I can get on the phone and talk to him for an hour, right? I can hear, like, be present with whatever they're dealing with. And even though they don't look at me as a coach, right? I'm coaching them.
But they do.
My oldest, you know what?
You can't not.
I guess
Because you're proving too much. They can't not.
Well, it depends, right? Because remember, you're looking from the outside, right? My oldest son did say, you guys are my consultants. Like, he called us the other day. He was like, I need to speak to both of you. Like, what? He was like, this is what I'm thinking. And we give our opinion, right? My middle son, on the other hand, he's more like me. He's more like, I'm going to figure this out. Right? He's not as coachable. But I guess we are still coaching him. Yeah.
And I'm saying, that in my ignorance, not having spoken to any of your sons about what my point of view is. That's my caveat. Right? Your parents are your first superheroes, period. Right. Engaged parents, even more so. Then once you become in elementary school, you realize everybody's parents aren't engaged. Right. Get to middle school, even less. I remember I was in middle school, the first time I heard one of the kids I was in school with lent his father money. What? And I was like, your dad borrows money from you? Okay. And part of me was like, that's cool that because to me, it's like he was a cool kid, so it's cool that you have money to give. And it's cool that your father pays it back. So I guess. Okay. Hey man. To each his own. But the idea of however much money my parents had or didn't have, my parents never borrowed money from me. Right. You know what I'm saying? I always, as far as that hierarchy, they were always. That's it. You know what I mean? And it's just the reality of the experience. Right. So for you, I'm saying for the boys, the reality of the experience is the hierarchy. Y'all not teammates. Right. You know what I mean? And even the oldest, saying that y'all are his consultant. Right. To me, sounds like he's aware that he's responsible for important decisions. Yeah. And the value of consultancy. Because he has to go live these decisions.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to consult. He needs
Right.
better images and ideas
Right.
than he might readily have at the time.
Right.
And you got him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or like
Yep.
evidence has shown you got him.
Yep.
Or at least you know how to help him go get them.
Right.
And find them wherever they
Right.
are. You know what I mean? But yeah, you the coach. Yeah, you the coach. We just, it's like 16 years old, 18 years old. It's like, and boys
And boys.
fully convinced
Yeah.
that we are immortal.
Yeah.
Like fully convinced
Yeah.
that we are the exception to everything.
Right.
If we decide to be.
Right.
Right? Completely ignorant,
Right.
even though it is true.
Right.
We do it from a place of ignorance
Right.
when we're at that age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, they don't never help you as much as you help them. Like, it's never that. You know what I mean? Like their stomachs tell them that.
Right.
They eat
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. And I've never looked at them that way, which I think is a beautiful thing, because we have situations where parents put so much pressure,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Even in sports, even academic wise, like we tell our children, do the best you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, if this is the best you can do, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you do your best?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And you mean it. Yeah. Right.
That's it. My dream isn't through my child, right?
Right.
I want him to have the freedom to explore and figure out what he wants for him,
Yeah.
right? Some people, there's so much pressure, and I mean young.
Yeah.
I gotta do this because I'm trying to buy my mother a house.
Yeah.
I gotta do this because I'm trying to get us out the hood.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
Right. Right. And yeah.
Yeah.
So right now I'm reading a few books, all slowly. One of them is the Master Key System. One is Eat to Live, which is a book I've heard about for a long time.
Okay.
But I happened to be in the bookstore a
Okay.
couple weeks ago and I saw it.
Caught your attention.
And I
Be
said,
like
yeah.
that sometimes.
Because like I'm really feeling the benefit of better dietary
Right.
practices.
Right.
So I want to lean into it.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be a
nothing.
anything.
You're just trying to live.
If there's better information,
Right.
I'd like
That's
to.
it.
Yeah, I'm happy to have it. And then I'm reading the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass.
Okay.
Which apparently is one of 3 autobiographies that he wrote.
Okay.
Right. That one I read the slowest
Okay.
because it is so incredibly dense in its telling of his particular life as a slave. And you know, Frederick Douglass was always a name, you know what I mean, since elementary school.
Right.
And I know he had something to do, I assumed he had something to do with intellect because his portrait shows him in a suit. And,
Right. Right. Right.
And he looks stoic and he looks, you know what I mean? But I didn't know anything about him.
Got it.
Anything about him.
Right.
And I don't remember why I bought the book now.
Okay.
Now that I think about it. But a couple of things that really I really appreciated from reading it was evident that from a young age he was aware of the role in piloting himself through his life, like learning how to read.
Right.
So like reading is forbidden.
Right.
Right. And against the law, even at the time in those places. And he's in Maryland. I don't know if it was against the law in Maryland.
Okay.
But the mistress or the master's wife
Right.
started to teach him how to read. And like day 3, his master overhears him. Fuck are you doing?
Right.
Don't you dare do that.
Right.
And the way that his master so plainly and transparently spoke about why that's a bad idea is what confirmed for him, I have to learn how to read. You know what I mean? He was like, I've never...
Got it.
Right?
Thank you.
Like, oh,
okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
This man literally said it would make him unfit to be a slave.
Thank you. Okay.
What?
Okay. I have to pick that book
Right?
up.
So then he's like, all right, I have to learn how to read.
Right.
And the more he reads,
Right.
the more he realizes what the master said was true.
Right.
And now, it's like the master was like, it's gonna make him, it's miserable for a slave to learn how to read.
Right.
Which is like,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I don't know about that.
Uh-huh.
And it makes him unfit to be a slave.
Right.
And that's like, that gets his attention. But as he learns how to read, he realizes, yeah, knowing how to read does make me more miserable. Because now I see the truth of
Right. Because you're looking around and you're like,
yeah.
oh,
other people wrote other things.
this is real.
Right? And like,
Right.
this is not what my master or my slave mother or father or uncle said.
Right.
So that I could survive. There is a narrative of what's said so that I survive, and then there is the larger narrative.
So, bring that to 2024.
So there is literacy,
Right.
in whatever form
Right.
or fashion,
Right.
is non-negotiable.
Right.
It is the only access point for human beings
Right.
to live fully human being lives.
There we go.
There is what our capacity is as a human.
Right.
Literacy is how to do that capacity, how to live out that capacity. Financial, literature, like all of the like physical health,
Yes.
emotional,
Right.
all these things. You like that's what the actual
It's
world
all
is.
in books.
And it's all in books.
It's all in books because they've done this over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
So now when we take that same concept, right, and we put it in 2024,
Yeah.
it's a disservice.
Yeah.
Right? Like our education system
Yeah.
is doing a disservice
Right.
to us.
Right.
That's why when I hear
Yeah.
3 out of 4 fifth graders can't read, da 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 da. Whoa. What is our future going to look like? Because at the end of the day, slavery is a mentality.
Yeah.
So when you start to read and you start to gather information, and like you said, you look around, you're like, oh, we're still here.
Yeah. And the problem is we're not still there.
Well,
we're here now,
right.
living like we're there.
Right.
And like slavery.
Wait. Let that sit for a second.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now such.
Because now,
Dare I say? Dare I say it's a choice?
yeah,
Right.
right.
But go ahead.
It is, right? But it is.
Right.
But it is.
Right.
So, case in point, the reason why reading would make a slave miserable is because no matter how much you knew, you can't not be a slave in 1854 or whatever that time period. Right. Your environment reinforced this thing. So knowledge was not power.
Well.
The ability to execute.
Yeah. And you're limited, so you're frustrated.
Yeah. So Frederick Douglass has to run away to the north.
Right. Because he was looking
to become Frederick Douglass.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And so now it's like if we're thinking about financial literacy, and I'm saying financial literacy for my, because I know I'm ambitious, and I know I believe I have wholesome ambition.
Right.
Right. I have no interest in taking anything from anybody. But the financial literacy, I'm never made miserable by financial literacy unless I demand to live in financial slavery still. That would have to be my demand to not activate or execute on this information.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the same with all other, like health, physical health, all the things, right? Relationship, all the things, like how to be what is an actual friend?
Right.
Because like there's literacy in social literacy as well. It's like, I remember saying, I'm sorry, I'm bouncing.
No, you're good.
I was having a conversation with my boy. He was saying that a friend of his son was talking to him, young child, and they were saying like, yeah, you know, because you're my mom's best friend. And he's like, and they don't have a best friend relationship as far as he's concerned.
Right.
But you talk to the mom, and she's like, well, yeah, you're my best friend.
Right.
And he's shocked.
Right.
And I've had that experience when somebody said of me that I'm their best friend.
Right.
Not we're best friends.
Right.
That I'm their best friend.
Right.
Right. And we were talking about it, and I had the realization on the phone with him that we learn friendship and the idea of best friendship through like proximity and interest. Like there is no I have no knowledge of a elementary grade child whose best friend does not go to the same school. Like in the third grade, your best friend might not be in your class, but they're not across town. Right,
or they're a neighbor or something. They're in close proximity.
Yeah, like they might go to another school.
Right.
In private school or something.
Yeah.
Proximity is
is a must.
A must.
Yes.
Right? And then interest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But as we get more mature, the idea of friendship has a lot more to do with, a lot less to do with proximity and interest, and a lot more to do with resonance and connectivity. Like some people can connect like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require a lot of buildup.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just can.
Right.
And sometimes a person can be your best friend because amongst their friends, amongst your friends, the quality of their friendship is just the best.
Right.
It's not the most often.
Right.
You don't share a lot of interests.
Right.
But the way they show up in friendship to you is of such high quality, is of the highest quality among their friend group.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of that might have to do with the fact that there isn't proximity.
Right.
So it's like we don't have time to waste showing up half-assed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or showing up selfish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the definition of friendship and best friendship changes as you mature socially. So like social literacy and knowing how to like, because we talk about, we hear, I say all the time and hear people say all the time, like people still live like it's high school.
Some do.
You know what I mean? And like, that's because social literate, they're that literate.
Right.
They're socially literate to an 11th grade socializing level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there is so much value and wealth in social literacy. And if you just up all of your literacies, you can live a fully human life. You can be fully you, of your own contribution and orchestration and cooperation and design and submission.
Right.
You can do it with discipline.
Right.
You can do it with joy. You can do it with bliss. You can do it with, you know what I mean? You can do it with stumbling along the way.
Exactly.
Like,
and be okay with all of it.
Yeah. Like Warren Buffett doesn't only make money. He loses money too.
Right.
He's incredibly literate financially.
work in progress
Yeah.
in all areas,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes I put more attention on one area than the other. Right now, I don't know where I'm putting my attention. I'm like working out, running, walking,
Yeah.
trying to stay focused,
Yeah.
growing a business. I thought the business was going to go this way, the business is going this way, and I'm like, oh boy, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's figure that out.
Yeah.
So,
I love that you just said that.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, and then just listed a bunch of things that you're doing.
Well,
You know what I heard somebody say? The
What?
reason why I love that is
Yeah.
I just heard somebody say, you know you're on your path when the path disappears. You don't see your road
right,
anymore.
right.
That's how you know you're on
You
the
just
path.
keep going forward.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I did this.
Yeah.
What went well? What didn't go well? What can you improve? Okay, let's put this in place for the next time. The next time it comes, you do it. Okay, cool. That was good, but it could have been smoother.
Yeah.
Right? Let me clean this up a little bit
Yeah.
and do it again.
Yeah.
And do it again. And if you do it enough, one day you wake up and you're like, oh,
This
it's
is
like
my
walking,
life. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When I started walking, I was in a dark space.
Yep.
Year and a half later, I'm like, good morning.
Right?
Right?
500.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's how I look at life now. And I didn't look at it like that before.
Yeah.
And friendships, it's up, down, up, down. One season, I may be really close with someone, and the other season, I may not.
Yeah.
I'm okay with all of it. But what I'm learning is this one right here, as long as I'm good with her,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever comes with it, comes with it.
Right.
I hope someone can, I don't know, I'm weird. Like, I don't, like, I can have a great time with you
Yeah.
and then disappear and then
Yeah.
call you a year later and be
Yeah.
like, hey girl, I just
Yes.
thought about you.
Yep. You good?
Yeah, all right, cool,
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
we'll talk. Yeah, I don't know, evolution of, you know, when you see me, I think the other thing is, like, when I get attached to people, I get so authentic. Like,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
so I don't have to show up. Oh, hey girl, let's go to brunch. Let's go. I don't have time. I am trying to build something right here.
Right. Yeah, I don't have time to
I'm
just
trying to
brunch for
build.
brunching.
No. Y'all out here brunching every weekend.
yeah.
I can't.
Right.
Okay? I'm building something.
Yeah.
But if, you know, it work out and it aligns
Right.
and we connect, then so be it.
Yeah.
But I'm not coming out just because they got unlimited mimosas. Like, I'm chilling. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and for some people, that's the season they're in.
Right.
And, you know, if I was in that season, I might be out there with you.
Yeah.
That's just not the season I'm in right now.
Right.
Right? So, yeah, friendships has been quite interesting.
Yeah.
Especially in this, I'm 45, right? So there are people that I thought I would be friends with. I'm still friends with, but we're just on two different paths.
Yes.
Right? I wish you nothing but the best. I'm still here.
Yeah.
If you have something that aligns with my schedule, I'll be there.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I will put YouTube on.
Right.
Okay?
Because the natural laws are still in effect, and they're proving themselves every day.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, I cannot be out till 1 a.m. with you. I've got to be up at 5:30
Yeah.
because I have to walk.
Yep.
Because I have to read this book.
Yep. Yeah. Or I can't stay on this phone with you.
Going in
To
circles.
hear your negative point of view on the whole world and how you can't stand people.
Do you have health insurance?
Nah.
See if you can get a therapist.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and that's a weird. Like, some people can jive with that, and other people, you know, like, I ain't calling her no more.
Yeah.
Either way,
Right.
mission accomplished.
And God bless. Yeah.
And I'm still here.
Yeah. And you still here.
That's it.
Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you. This I don't know, this podcast, YouTube situation, this kind of feel like us just vibing, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.